previously on In Transition?
My mom thought
something changed. The tone changed a few months into the pandemic.
By about month 5, I was like, fuck all of this.
I was so happy. So happy.
I'm just like, I am going to eat. I'm not gonna use this rowing machine that I bought after I returned the spin bike, after I returned the treadmill. The UPS guy knew me by, Corey, this is what we're bringing in today. Yeah, just put it in the hallway. Thanks, Mom. Yeah.
We'll see how long I ride this or do this thing.
Didn't even take it out of the box. It just sat there. I'm just
in theory, it seemed like a good idea.
Yeah, but to your point about exercising, you don't have time. I'm not trying to come down on you. You need to
I know. And I keep reminding myself that I feel better. Like I had a week where I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't exercise. And then I was like, I need to. And so the next day and it's funny because one of the guys I work with, he's like, oh, he goes, you worked out this morning, didn't you? I'm like, holy fuck, you can tell? Like you know, like by what I'm giving off that I exercised or I didn't. I'm like, okay, so now I'm becoming more aware of it. And I know my pants are telling me I gotta do it because it's just like, I'm not exercising. And so that's like, I'm out in the garden. I'm trying to get back out there. And so we've talked about, rejoining a gym because we were doing that before and then we didn't. And my husband bought an exercise bike that I ride occasionally now, but he's been on like 4 times since like 2020. So it was like one of those purchases too, but it's just like, how can we, and then how can we as a couple, because my kids are now to the place where I don't have to be here with them. So like we could go to the gym and exercise and come home, or we could meet there. So it's like trying to figure out how those things then work because we're not in the stage. My older daughter just got her driver's license. We only have 2 cars, but they went to Target last night together. She and my younger daughter, they drove to Target. She texted me when she got there. Then she's like, we're going to go to the ice cream shop. Is that okay? I'm like, yes. So then she texted me when I got there. And then she texted me. So it's just really, I was like, okay, what is this going to be like? So we can do things now in a way that we weren't able to do those. And I think we trying to find the things that we can do together, like exercise and walking and things like that will be really good because, he's home all day and I go places. So I socialize and, hunt and gather friends.
We are so excited to be back for part 2 of this conversation. If you haven't listened to part 1, we encourage you to go back and take a listen. Now on to the show. So you've been there, you said 8 years?
8 years.
Okay.
Oh.
At what point did you feel like you were finally settled?
I would say within the pandemic, I finally got used to everything because I had never spent time at home because we literally moved our shit in and then I went back to the office doing all the same things that I had done before because I still, in that first couple of years, like you feel like you have to prove yourself. Mm-hmm. And so then you sacrifice everything that you moved there for, which was the space, the lack of commute, time with your family, because they don't know your work and you feel like I'm an overachiever. So I want to make sure that like, they know that I'm good at my job and that it was a worthwhile investment and that like, blah, blah, blah. So coming into COVID, being able to be out in my garden, being able to sort the things that are in the house, like that made me feel like I lived here. And so then we really explored. We'd go out for ice cream or like once people start, like we were starting to go out again, like we do little things. I still don't know where the parks are, but that's because when I moved here, my kids were really too big to go to the park and we went to the playground down the street. So it's like, I feel like I missed some of that, but I know I'm comfortable getting, like I can get around the city, Lancaster City and around the county without any maps. So I feel like that in itself, like that means that I know where I am. Because I can, because I know how to get the back way, the short way, the other way. Like that makes you feel settled in. I know the shortcuts.
Yeah. And I feel like that's always a thing when you move somewhere new, the first, 2-3 months, you feel like you can't find anything. You don't know where anything is. It's like discombobulating. You're like, and it kind of, for me, it was frustrating. I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going. But eventually, as you integrate, like you said, the shortcuts, you know how to get around town. People come to visit. You're like, I know where to take you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're really homebodies, I think, because we've always been so busy so that we don't, we're not always on the go, which is nice. The kids are now, again, they're not really involved in a lot of things on the weekends other than this lacrosse thing for another couple of weeks, but it's not constant. So we have more space, which is actually really nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that space.
So if you were talking to a woman, let's say you were coaching a woman through something similar, she's going to go through a big move a family, out of state, out of the country, because I feel like that's happening more too.
It is, because people are going to Portugal. There's an article about Portugal and Spain and just some of the other countries that you can like pick up and go to. And
what kinds of things would you be talking to her about?
I would encourage her to find groups, to look for the women's networking groups that are out there that maybe she never thought about before. Because the ones that I found, I had no idea that there were these groups anywhere, because in New Jersey, there wasn't, because people were like so interconnected and like going to events and whatever else, and the kids were little, I didn't need them. And so one of the things I realized was that when I was told that I needed to go out, you need to go and network so you can talk about yourself, that's when I found out that all of these women that are in these groups have these amazing careers or entrepreneurial, they have day jobs and they have night hustles or vice versa. And so like they're very multifaceted in a way that everyone else I had met before didn't represent. So finding places where you can meet, like if you have a career and you are working 9 to 5 or whatever, find places where you can meet women who are in the same place. And that's just like women's networking groups. Like I didn't realize like women's networking groups are really up and coming. And so that's something I would say. And then think about really like where, depending on how old your kids are or her kids are, would be like thinking about moving in a time when the kids can go right into school. As traumatic as it's going to be, they're going to finish the school year with friends and have people to hang out at the summer pool or whatever in the neighborhood that they wouldn't necessarily have if you wait or if you start in the beginning of the year. And then, there's making sure that you have time with your spouse to go out and explore the town too by yourselves, and just kind of be together, because it's hard for everyone or your partner or, anyone to go out and make sure you make a date to kind of like, let's go here and try this. And, what about this restaurant? Because that's another way to kind of get out and watch people and see what's going on in town and, where you want to spend time. And if there are people maybe you meet, talking to them, being comfortable talking to strangers. I think and I came to this I've spent my entire life talking to strangers. Like I would meet people in restaurants and like just the nature of the work that I was doing, I was very comfortable having conversations with people and starting them up, but not everyone's like that. And so it's like,
I was like, what if you're not? Because Corey and I we share this with you. Like we can go into a room of people we do not know at all. And is there some anxiety sometimes? Maybe. Like the more I think we know about what we're stepping into, the more prepared we can feel. Like, what's these women going to be like? Is this going to be my vibe, or is this going to be like, oh, fuck, I really don't want to be here?
I don't go any places without name tags. They have to have name tags. That is, So no name tag, I don't go because I don't know. I cannot.
If you're the type that's anxious about meeting new people, do you have any like strategies you'd offer? Because I think it does kind of give you a new skill set when you learn how to embrace it.
It really does. And it's so funny because I used to be able to I would go to these events for the school and I would watch who came in because I knew there were people I wanted to talk to. And so those are the people I would come and talk to. And then you would think that would translate into being comfortable in a networking environment. And it doesn't, because it's the unknown. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know who out there is someone that I really need to meet. I don't know how to present myself. I don't know how to look confident because I don't know who I am in this role because I've always been here. And so I think part of it is like, sometimes I don't want to say you have to hit bottom before you can come back up, but sometimes you have to feel so uncomfortable in that situation. And then you start to kind of be, okay, I don't want to feel like this anymore. What do I need to do to make myself feel better in this situation? Because I'm going to continue to go here because I want to meet people, because that community is an important drive for people.
Yeah.
I'm failing here with this. It's
failing.
Well, like you can meet people at the gym. Like My kids, I talk to anyone. Like, I mean, even before I would talk to people, they talk to me. And so like when I was in the locker room and this woman, you see people on a regular basis. It's back to this, like the article that was in the New York Times about, you're going to see, you join a gym. So you're going to see who goes when you show up at 5 o'clock to get on the elliptical machine. You're going to see, of course, there's always like, oh my God, what if there's someone else here who goes to the 5 o'clock at 5 o'clock and is on this elliptical? And then you're like, what if they're not on my elliptical? Right. But I mean, that's just, it doesn't matter, right? We're all here to exercise. But then there's like that familiarity. So it's practicing going at the same time, seeing who's there, saying hello, asking questions. One of the women who's one of my clients, she moved here from Washington about a year and a half ago, Washington, DC. And so she just joined one of the rec centers. And she's like, I've been talking to people at the gym because they go to the same classes and they went out for coffee. And so she had expressed that she had just moved here and she's still getting to know people and being honest and open about, I just moved here. You know, how long have you lived here? What is your favorite place to go and eat? So just asking those questions about the things that you want to do will help you kind of build that barrier. And again, familiarity, right? You could go to the gym for 3 weeks at 5 o'clock every day and then finally be like, hi, because you feel comfortable, or someone finally realizes that you've been there at the same time. And so asking and having that one curious question that's going to help open the door to a conversation is really important. And so is it, where do I want to go to eat? Or where's your favorite coffee shop? Or where can I get the best ice cream? Like all of those things, especially when you have a community, we're a very farming community. So there's so much ice cream, but everyone has an opinion. And so, okay, so-and-so, this person told me this is their favorite. What's your favorite? Why do you like that one best? And then when you have that one question, the same thing when you go into a networking event, if you have something that you can ask everyone that will start the conversation, it gives you more confidence. I know that I can use this question and this will help me relax, and then I can engage in this way. So just that prep work. I mean, I think preparation is really important. Doesn't have to be fully prepared because again, life isn't a straight line, but it's that confidence that I know that I'm going to go into this event and I can smile at someone and be like, hi, this is my first time here. And just being authentically awkward, that's my favorite thing. It's like, I am so awkward sometimes because it's authentic. I'm uncomfortable. I'm weird. I mean, I'm going to move around a lot, but like, at least that's what I am, right? I mean, I'm not going into it as anyone else. So just embrace it.
Embrace your awkwardness. I like the curiosity thing too. Like, I think a lot of people need just more of that in general in their life. Just start with curiosity. And I always think when all else fails too, people love to be acknowledged in some way. So even if it's something as silly as like you're going to give a compliment or acknowledge something about them that you noticed, if you don't know the person, it's probably going to open a door.
Well, and it makes them, it's a way to spread joy too. So like one of the things like you were saying about Lauren about a compliment is if it could be, I love your bag, your hair has a beautiful sheen to it, whatever. But those things, as long as they're said and shared authentically, will influence the day that person's having.
Yeah.
It's going to change how they feel about themselves, about what they're doing. It'll add some more pep in their step. And so that's a fabulous thing to pay forward, even if it doesn't go anywhere for a conversation with you. It's just that influence you're having in changing someone's day.
And if you want to learn how to do that well, study my friend Corey, because she probably does it better than anyone. She notices things about people.
Do I? I honestly don't even know I do.
Yeah, I think it's just how you're wired. But
I legit
for a lot of people, like, we don't think to do that or be like, oh my gosh, your hair looks so good today. Or that kind of stuff. You're just like simple things.
But I say it in such weird ways. Like, I am living for your hair
right now.
I'm living for this hairstyle.
And then it starts a whole conversation for her. She's like, what hair product do you use?
Yeah. So yeah, I had a call with somebody that Lauren knew prior to my meeting her this week. And I found her on LinkedIn. I did a screenshot. I sent it to Lauren. I'm like, is this who you're talking about? And she's like, yeah. I go, yeah, I'm going to need to meet her just solely because I need to know what product she uses in her hair. So when we met online a few days ago, I'm like, I'm just going to cut to the chase. I need a list of the products. I need to know
in your hair.
I had a notebook. I'm like, let's go.
Lay it out.
Did, and we just kind of went from there. So yeah, I guess I do say random stuff to people. Like, I think I told somebody at I told a waitress yesterday at breakfast with one of my best friends, like, I'm living for that nail color. That nail color is you in on an acrylic. Yes.
So it's sometimes those simple things. It's like, we don't even have to think about it too much. If you can find something, you're like, oh my God, I love your t-shirt. Cause I feel like that's something you'd say too. Like if you had something really fun on, where did you get that?
And to that point, I got extra
Noticing,
butter
like
for my pancakes when I told her about her nails. I got extra butter for my
Ooh,
pancakes. Real whipped
I'm gonna
butter.
hook you up.
Yep. So she did. Yeah. Thanks, Tina. Okay.
I love it.
I
It's
love
so
that.
true, though. I mean, just the little kindnesses that you can spread forward or spread around, or just noticing that they're there, because people want to be seen. They want to be
do.
heard. They want to be seen, and you're holding space for them if you're listening, and then you're complimenting, sharing, bringing joy, noticing them when you say things and compliment them. So,
And you never really know. You don't know what type of day they've had prior to your connecting with them. So, I mean, even though if I say it in ways that just come off like really over the top or whatever, you do know that you've probably added some level of sunshine to their day. And it probably invokes a little bit, like maybe they'll get a little bit more pep in their step, even just like, wow, somebody noticed me. Somebody liked my t-shirt. I'm going to go back and get more of these. I'm glad I wore this today, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and I think about like in social situations too, where maybe you're in a room and, there's a mix of people always, like some people are a little bit more extroverted, some are more introverted. And if you find yourself a little bit more on the extroverted side, noticing those that are more introverted and kind of helping facilitate or being like, who can I introduce them to? Or can I start that conversation to help them break the ice? Because I'm more comfortable doing that. Like those subtle little things, a lot of us don't think to do. Like, how can I help ease them in because I'm more comfortable?
and then it becomes a practice. Like, I mean, I went to 4 different Chamber of Commerce women's conferences, one in New Jersey, one in Delaware. I went to 2 in Pennsylvania. I went to the Pennsylvania Conference for Women. Like, I was trying, like,
all over the place.
well, I mean, and the Pennsylvania Conference for Women had speed networking, which was really cool. Like, you sat 5 minutes, then you shifted.
Yeah.
And so then there's a place where you're going to meet your people and you're going to be, maybe you don't have to go to those things again, especially if you're just like trying to build the muscle of those skills, but then maybe you find your person in that group, right? But it was really interesting is the more I went to them, and the one I went to another one in March, and coming from October to March, feeling the difference in being able to go into a room and sit down and talk to someone, like, asking if I can sit at this table and feeling comfortable doing that because I had practiced and I knew that having someone sit next to you feels better than sitting at a table by yourself. Because and having all of those things, it's like the 10,000 hours to get to be a master or a genius or whatever. But I mean, it's like you have to keep doing it. And so, yeah, but the niceties and the kindness and asking someone to be like, oh, this is such a weird, awkward event. Like, do you come here often?
Is it as weird for you as it is for me?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, because it usually is. Like, you're usually just saying whatever they're thinking.
Yeah. Or you're like, oh my God, why are we here? Sometimes.
Right.
This is not my table.
Have we been here long enough? Is it okay to sneak out?
Yeah.
Will I notice if I
That's
fade
the
away?
nice thing about virtual events too, right, Corey? You can kind of sneak out easier.
Yeah, I just hit leave. I just hit leave.
Bye.
Yeah, it's like
that fade is impressive because I feel like it's harder to leave a virtual event and like
Got it all.
than it is when you just kind of like fade into the corner.
you just blame it on a bad connection later. You're like, oh my gosh.
This is like, the table people are working in my house. So if I know from the jump the conversation is going to be a little weird and I'm probably outing myself. So apologies to whoever has to network with me next week. I'll say, yeah, just to let you know, cable's working in my neighborhood. So if the connection gets lost, we'll try to connect again.
I mean,
and then I literally shut off my computer.
Is it the truth? It's a little white lie.
There's
work happening.
There was an Xfinity truck in my neighborhood. He just drove down the street. They don't need to know that.
You should just take a picture when it is out there and you can use it every single time.
Just like hold it up like, hey,
yeah,
this is happening. This is happening. Just letting you know, this is current.
People might drop any minute.
Yeah. So hey, how are you? Tell me about you? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I like all this because I think about how the act of moving itself, which we started this whole conversation around, automatically puts you outside your comfort zone a lot of the time. Like you just have to know that going in, especially if you're going to a place where you're like, I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
I know no one. And, I'm a person who's been through that scenario so many times in my life. I always joke when people are like, oh my God, where are you moving this time? I'm like, I've done this so many times that I don't want to say I'm good at it, but like I kind of know what comes with the territory. And getting stretched out of your comfort zone is actually a good thing in most cases.
Yeah.
So how do you lean into that a little bit? How do you expand your network? How do you start introducing yourself or asking for connections? Because I think that was the other point I wanted to bring here. And like, what was your experience around that? Like making me ask, can you introduce me to someone?
How awkward is that?
It's very awkward. It's very awkward. Well, and it gets, again, back to practice, it gets easier. So I don't think, actually, I know when we moved here, I wasn't even like aware that I could say to someone like, hey, is there someone that that you can introduce me to, like, or that maybe my husband might enjoy. I never thought about that because we had done so much work to build our social network in New Jersey that I just assumed, and again, took care of the family first, that I never thought to ask, who do you know, or who can I, and now when I sit down with someone, I always make sure, even if it's a Zoom or if it's in person, like, who do you need from my network? Like, how can I help you find someone to connect with? Because if you're telling me about your business, I want to, again, the murder board, right? I want to put on my board you, so that when I find your yarn string that goes to it, I can connect you with your person. And so those things didn't come naturally. And it was thinking about like being a giver and a taker, because when you meet someone in a network, it's partly building the relationship with that person, but it's also thinking about how your network can amplify what they're doing and vice versa. Yeah. So thinking about who can I introduce you to, or I offer it, like, go to my LinkedIn network. There's a lot of people in there that work in so many diverse careers because of the career I've had, where, I didn't just meet coaches and I didn't just meet people who are lawyers. I have wide variety. And so if there's someone in there that could help you, I want to be able to make that connection for you so that you can meet your goals. And I think as women, it's becoming more apparent that we need to be doing that for each other. And it's talked about more than it was even 5 or 6 years ago. Like, it's just because there's a lot of movement as people are trying to find themselves and who they are, what their passions are right now. And so we need help. We need to help each other.
Yeah. I think what it comes from a space, at least for me, and I'm gonna dare to say Lauren as well. It comes from a place of service. We're all here to do one or two really cool kick-ass things, in that dash between our date of birth and date of death. And in order to do those things, you're going to need help. You're going to need a community. You're going to need that support. And so I come at from a perspective of like, I always heard people say, well, how can I support you? And I don't look at it like that anymore. It's like, how can I serve you? And what does that service look like between us? And I think that, when networking became a thing, like when back in the heyday, like I remember going to like First Fridays and, going to networking things with one of my best guy friends and, just, handing out the business cards and working the room. And I was like, God, there's only so many pigs in a blanket I can eat, and it was just the same question all the time. What do you do? Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It became very, very rote. And I come at it from a place of now, one, it's more virtual, but it's like, hey, I want to know about you. I want to know, tell me about you. And then how can I support you? How can I serve you as a fellow woman, as a fellow entrepreneur, as a fellow human? How can I serve you? Because I never know when I'm going to need support or service from somebody else. So I feel if you put the ask, or if you put the offering of support and service first, it lays the foundation for what could be a very, very reciprocal and positive relationship with a person.
Yeah. And we had a rough patch. Like it's like, as I said, moving here was really interesting because it took us a very long time to realize that we didn't need the social circle that we had in New Jersey. And so thinking about picking the right people, like being very thoughtful and intentional about the people that you do connect with, and then making those offers and asking about service in a way that they're the right people for you. I think, I can help anyone and I'm happy to help anyone. but I also want to make sure that I'm helping someone, I'm in service with someone who's also has that same mindset, so that can be paid forward in a way that's important versus you're going to do this for me and then I'm going to go away and not help anyone else kind of thing. And I think it's important to be with the right people, to find your people. I mean, that's what we've been talking about, right? Finding your people in all of these weird situations. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they're speaking to that spirit of reciprocity, which Corey and I talk about a lot. When you're around a person who's self-serving most of the time or trying to take advantage of a situation and
that LinkedIn
not wanting to pay it forward. And, we've experienced this in women's communities, right? Where we're just like,
that LinkedIn
you're going to come up in here like that? Like you're going to lead with that?
Like the LinkedIn message I got this week.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was very, very pointed, very heavy on the self-promotion. And it's just like, that's what you're going to lead with. I really wanted to get to know you. So because you've led with that, I now know you. I'm good.
I know your MO and
your MO
aligned with mine.
We're good. I wish you best.
That speaks too to like, if you're that type of person that has a heart for service, you kind of have spidey senses about those things. And we set pretty hard boundaries. We're like,
yeah, it was just like,
feel right.
My initial vibe when I saw it was like, whoa, that's a really long message. And all I said was hot.
Corey's response to it.
What'd you say?
Your response to it was like on point.
VJ sent me a message. I got the slow clap gift from VJ, but it was just.
She called her up.
I'm like, hey, you know what? Congrats on all your accolades, because that's literally what I got. I got a CV and all my questions. It looks like we have a lot of mutual connections. That's really cool. And it was and you could tell from that it was a templated response. And it was just like, how many screenshots was that I sent you?
A lot. It was long.
It was like 4 or 5 screenshots. And like my gut was like, yeah, this isn't cool, but I'm going to need somebody else that knows me really well to see what they think. And so I sent it to Lauren, and I think I sent it to one other person, and Lauren was like, that was heavy. And the response that I sent was, thank you for sharing all of your accolades. I am looking to make genuine connections with women in ways that can empower one another, and that we can continue to support, serve, and uplift one another in the spirit of generosity and reciprocity. It doesn't appear like it doesn't look like that's what you're looking for. Leading with a heavy sales pitch is not how I like to do business. So I wish you the best in your endeavors. And then I blocked her. I block with.
Corey does that for a lot too.
Boundaries are so important.
I ruthlessly block people because I just don't want it to mess with my values, my energy. Right. Time is finite. I like to respect people's times. I like my time respected. And so to Lauren's point, you kind of get a spidey sense when you kind of see where people, like, what angle are you trying to work? Even the thing that I turned down earlier this week, Lauren, where I canceled like 10 minutes before I was supposed to do it. It was just like, my gut's telling me not to do it. And it's like, okay, well, let's look at their social. Oh yeah, they only have like X amount of people. They don't want to talk to you. They want your people, And it's not like I have millions and millions of followers. I don't even know if I would want that in my life, but it's just, you need to, as much as possible, be in spaces and create communities where everything or damn near close to everything aligns and parallels how you move as an individual, be it socially, professionally, whatever.
It's how you're showing up. It's how your authentic self. And a lot of times you think about people like that approach it in that way. They don't know who they are. They've been told perhaps that this is how you approach someone on LinkedIn, or this is how you approach someone to create a relationship, when that advice doesn't necessarily, maybe it hits some people. Maybe there is someone out there that really works for, but when you're really trying to develop and build relationships, and you can do it.
You can.
That is absolutely something you can do. You just have to be able to do it in a way that's authentic to yourself. And if there's a lot of bad advice out there, there's a lot of bad coaching out there. There's a lot of bad suggestions. I don't think to either Lauren's or my experiences in connecting and networking, because that's pretty much what we do. Yeah. I don't think we've ever been in a space where either one of us have gone in with,
my end goal is to get this out of you. I think we always leave. Yeah, there have been conversations we've had with people where it's like, yeah, we'd like you to join our community. We'd like you to be a part of it, but we don't leave with it. It's more so, let me just get to know you.
Right.
That's
how it should be about relationships. You can't, it's not
it can't be a forced thing.
It's not transactional. And that's one of the things I loved about how parallel my careers are, is that the work that I've done in higher education is about building a genuine relationship and understanding why someone wants to make a difference and what their priorities are and how they match what the college or institution needs. And then with coaching and even with networking, it's about how can what I have to offer and the knowledge that I have and the murder map in my head, really help you and pull out your themes and help you understand yourself better. Because if you understand who you are, then you can relate to people online in a much more positive way, in an authentic way, and you can have those connections. And so it's like, I think that it's never been transactional. And I've worked with a couple of different business coaches, and one of them was very much like, well, you meet them, you talk to them, and then you set up a meeting right away, and then you go out. And that didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel right. And so then kind of talking to other people, I was like, okay, timing is everything. And that's where my world with fundraising was. Everything is about the timing of the donor. It doesn't matter what I or the college needs, it's when they're ready. And so with coaching clients, it's like knowing that I'm continuously serving in any way I can. And when someone's ready and I'm the right fit, I'm here.
Yeah.
Here. And it's genuine as opposed to transactional, I guess.
Yeah.
It's so hard. People suck. Like, I hate them. Like, it's just, it's so hard.
People suck.
People suck. I hate them. Yeah.
But I love them.
But they're so fascinating. Oh my God. People are so fascinating.
They are fascinating. It's such a love-hate relationship with people and peopling. I had somebody tell me that last week. It's like, people are just peopling. I'm like, that's kind of what we do.
It's too people-y most of the time in my world, which is why I said the Amtrak quiet car, because it is one of the most amazing social experiments ever, because the people that sit in the quiet car self-select and they monitor it. It's like, these are the rules. It's a library-like atmosphere. No one talks on the cell phone. You have to quietly type. It's not a typing. It's like very much, you don't talk to your seatmate, nothing. And it's like this whole community of people who just want to be quiet.
There's this book. I want to say his name is Dan Meredith. Australian dude, Irish dude, something big, bulky weightlifter dude. Cannot remember the name of his book. I'll have to put it in. I listened to it was an Audible free book. And he talks about taking the train, sitting in the quiet car to more than anything to switch up where you work. He was looking at it from a work perspective, like buy a train ticket, take your laptop, sit in the quiet car, put your headphones on. You can get a legit 3 to 4 hours worth of work knocked out. When the train stops, buy yourself a really good lunch, get back on the train, knock out another 3 or 4 hours on the way home, or sleep in the quiet car, whatever. It's a pretty good day.
And it's productive. And the same thing, like when you change up your environment, you change up your creativity and how you're looking at problems. So if you're always in your office, in your home office, and you went to the coffee shop, like I've had mornings where I'm like, I'm just going to, I dropped the kids off at something. They had something to do in the morning at school on a Saturday, and I went to a coffee shop. I get more done in an hour and a half because there's nothing else competing with my attention. It's just
there's a coffee house.
Car, absolutely. Same thing.
There's a coffee house / cafe / bakery up the street from my house. It's been there forever. I have a tab with them. Like, I walk in, they're like, oh, morning, Corey, here's your breakfast sandwich. Here's your tea. Just close it out before 2:00 before we close. And literally headphones, head down, or I'm in their little mini meeting room. I get more done in a day, and it's a good change of scenery.
I love that.
I need to get that on my calendar more. But
I love the train. I just can't. It doesn't. That's one thing. I'm like, I would just get on the train and go everywhere. Because it's like you can do other things. Someone else is driving.
Yeah. My stepmom hates flying, and my younger brother and his husband live in Kansas City, Missouri. And my older brother and I are like, look, we'll get on the plane with you. We'll fly with you. One of us will fly with you. One of us will fly out to come get you. No, I'm just going to take the train. So she gets on a train in California and goes all the way to Kansas City, Missouri.
Ways.
But we're all on the iPhone. Okay, like, where is she? Okay, her dot hasn't moved. What's wrong with her? So one of us has to text her. She goes, yeah, we just kind of sat in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night. I'm not good with that. But she knocks out, she's an avid reader like you. So she'll knock out 3-4 books.
Yeah.
One way.
It's
And I'm
just
like, I mean,
sometimes you just want to sit. It's a palate cleanser. It's like, it's so fun to kind of escape into someone else's mind and see what they've written. So like that for fiction, it's really, I just love it because people are so creative. And I love to read. Agatha Christie is a palate cleanser. Like if I've been reading a couple of different genres or whatever, and I need just a break, or I've read the same author a couple of times in a row, like I'll pick up an Agatha Christie book that I haven't read before. And then just read that, and then I'm ready to go back into whatever, just because it's just enough that's like, it's interesting. And I love the fact that she's, the fact that, in those, she's wrote so prolifically for so many years as a female writer, but was so different. But just to cleanse the palate. It's my palate cleanser, but it's just,
I have one too.
I love mysteries. I love mysteries.
No, I can't do that. That's too much like Dateline.
Like murder, like those scary
murder
ones,
wall.
but like
there's a really heavy influence of death and murder in this podcast, and I really think that that's probably the best way we can end it.
Because we're not about death and murder.
We are not a death and murder podcast.
Boards, but yeah,
murder boards. We're talking about death. What's next for you? Where can people find you? What's next for you? What's going on?
So I I'm taking clients. I love working with people that are looking to. So the platypus is really interesting in that, like, when you think about it, every one of those little adaptations it has with its bill and its tail and the webbed feet, the fact that it's venomous, it glows under black light, all of those things, it lays eggs. It's venomous. The male platypus is venomous.
I thought that he was just I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I just always kind of equated a platypus to a sloth, kind of like that same vibe.
Nope.
Now you're telling me these things are venomous.
A duckbill, and they kind of look like an otter, but with
good. And
they're velvety soft. They have electro. What is the sharks use?
Venomous. I'm done.
Venomous. Just the male, just on the back of his leg. It's not going to hurt you.
That tracks.
Probably won't ever see one because they're in Australia. But they use electrolocation, whatever the thing is that sharks use, like underwater, to find the signals. They don't have any teeth, but all of those parts don't make sense. And so I like to think about people in the same, not that all of our parts, but those things come together and you have this perfect little animal that is perfectly adapted to succeed in its environment. Okay. So it's a unique experience. And I think about all the people that haven't quite maybe uncovered the things about themselves that give them that uniqueness, which then they need to hit their potential. And so it's like, I like that. How to be.
I like that. I really like that.
Platypus strategies.
I like that. So you're taking clients, you're just living your best life with your family in Lancaster.
I'm reading.
Acclimated. You're reading.
Lancaster.
Kister. Kiss. There's a kiss in the middle.
Lancaster.
How's it spelled?
Lancaster, like you said
I said it.
But it's pronounced Lancaster. Yes, that is I was like, what? Like, where do I live?
Well, that's like Prescott in Arizona. Looks like Prescott.
What is it?
Prescott.
Yeah. I don't accept that. I don't accept either of those.
Yeah, I was like, that's not phonetically right, but okay.
It's literally Lancaster and it's literally Prescott. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm sorry if I've offended.
Louisville.
Okay, but okay. So to your point, so like Raleigh, Durham, it's not Raleigh, Durham. It's Raleigh, Durham.
Durham.
And it's not New Orleans. It's New Orleans.
New Orleans.
So yeah, because I have my aunt lives in Durham. My dad was from Durham, and it's
If anyone else has any other ones, put them in the comments below.
Yeah, anybody if you guys want to just say weird ways to pronounce the cities you live in, just drop them.
They're always wrong.
Yeah,
like there's ones that are just always pronounced wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, where can people find you, Kristen, if they're like, learn more about what you're doing and connect?
Platypus-strategist.com is my website, and I'm constantly reading. And one of the other things I do with my clients is help them get the most out of what they're reading. So if they have, we all buy books. Those of us who buy books. And sometimes we don't read them all for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's because we don't know how to implement what we want to learn. Maybe we don't know why we bought it to begin with. Maybe we just need someone to talk to about it. And so that's one of the things I do with my clients is assign a book if they're readers. It's not forced, of course, to help them think a little bit more deeply about what they're looking for. So my one client, we read The Practice of Groundedness because she was looking for a way to be very grounded and mindful. And then we read Living on Purpose because she was trying to also choose how she was feeling. And that book is really focused on live on purpose. Yeah. It's you're choosing the way you want to feel. And by doing that, it's not a have to anymore. It's like, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to feel this way. And that's how I want to feel. So getting the most out of what you read, figuring out which fork in the road you want to take when you find one. And in my mind, I imagine like a fork and someone standing there with all the tines and not knowing which direction to go, or like untying knots. Like you just don't have direction and you want direction, or you want to try something new, but you don't know how. So
do you post about
all of it? What?
Do you, I know that you have LinkedIn. I believe you have Instagram. Do you post about because this fork in the road thing, this is very, very, I like it. And I think there would be a lot of people that could probably really, really relate to it. Do you do posts on this? Is this?
I am building. I think that again, consistently and consistent. I was really good on LinkedIn for like a month. And then I was like, oh, so much mental energy went into writing. Let me just comment on other people's things and engage that way for a while. So I am working on building out that stuff, and I will be. I think that there's a lot I've learned in the last year with some of the things I've read and just some of the things I've seen in my client portfolio about making decisions and picking directions based on the way you want to feel versus the way you think you should feel or the way that people have told you you should feel.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a really, really good place to end our conversation. Thank you so much for your energy. Thank you so much for your time. This has been a blast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to spend so much time with the two of you because I miss Lauren and I only got to spend a little bit of time with you, Corey. So I'm just so excited to see.
I mean, we're here.
We're always up for this.
This is what we live for. Like literally it is, I think.
Well, and you're so comfortable. Like it's just, you both have this amazing feel that just resonates through the internet. And even, I know that in person, I would just want to give both of you giant hugs. But you just,
I don't do hugs. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I meet people and I do hugs. I'm like, oh my God, you're a hugger. Let's do this. But I just want, I share that because I think that there's just, while listening to your podcast, I get the feel, but I just want people to know that you just like making eye contact visually through Zoom, like you just feel fabulous. So.
Thank you. That means a lot to us. That's good to hear.
Yeah. And I think we've been dropping more and more hints about what we're doing with Catalyst, which is kind of an extension of what we're doing here.
I believe it.
And inviting people to, if they want to come hang out with us in real time, in real life, have these kinds of conversations.
You can virtually hug us too.
Yes, you can virtually hug us too. And the other incredible women. I don't want to make it all about us either. Like,
I mean, it kind of is. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. No, you're going to need to edit that part out.
No, there's so many other incredible women we get to talk to. And every time we record one of these podcasts, we're like, how amazing is this going to be when they all get to sit in a virtual room together and eventually meet each other in person? It's going to be legit.
Yeah, Lauren and I have kind of gotten a preview up to this because we have gotten, we have been able to be on these podcasts with some of the most amazing women we've ever been able to connect with, present company included, Kristen. And it's, I think she just fangirled a little bit, but like to Lauren's point, we've been privy to get a sneak preview on this amazing level of just community and service and empowerment and just badassery. Is that a word? It is right now.
That is absolutely.
Let me back up. Fire badassery, and to be in a space where we know that applications are opening and women are that much closer to getting to experience this, what we've been fortunate and blessed to experience for such a good amount of time. It's it's a good feeling. It's a really, really good feeling. Yeah.
Really good feeling. And by the time this episode drops, the community will be live. So anyone listening to this particular episode, if you're interested in learning more about what we're building,
links are in the show.
Starting already, we are catalyst.social. You can check out everything we're doing on that site.
So powerful.
Join us for the fun. Just join us for the fun.
And you can meet hopefully meet Kristen in real time too.
Yeah.
That's
You could
what
at
it's all
least
about.
virtually hug her. You could virtually
I know.
hug her.
Yes, virtually hug me, please. So,
I'm going to need somebody to create a virtual hug. I know it exists, but
It's not
There's a
real.
gift, but
Yeah, it's not the
I mean, we know my gift game is strong, but I need like a literal,
where
like,
your hand can come
no,
through.
like for real, Kristen. My gift game is
Oh yeah?
It's good.
it's
Quite good.
It's way good. Lauren and my conversations are literally gifts.
Fabulous. You can, I mean, think about it. The Egyptians and the Mayans communicated in hieroglyphics, and we're using emojis. So, I mean, the fact that your gifts are out there and doing things.
Gifts is just a step up from emojis because
It
it's
is.
Pretty much. It
you
is.
can almost challenge each other to speak only in gifts.
I mean, literally, if you were to ever look at Lauren's and our text messages, there's at least 50 gifts a day.
And we have like probably a handful of favorites, fan favorites.
Yeah, there's certain ways we say good mornings to one another through a GIF on certain days. She'll tell me something. She knows what GIF I'm going to send as my response. Most of the time, she beats me to the punch and sends it to me after she's told me something. And then she knows that there's one where I'll tell her something that's just so off to the left that I know what GIF she's going to send. And I'm usually laughing before she sends it. So, I mean,
Fabulous.
Our GIF game is strong, and it's a, yeah.
And it will be inside the community, I'm sure, for that reason.
I mean, a lot of our emails have GIFs in them. So.
We want you to feel the personality when you're in this.
Oh, yeah. I think that you'll feel it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, join us. We'll be back again next week. Thank you so much again, Kristen. It's been so much fun.
So much.
Hopefully we'll get to bring you back.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week. We appreciate our listeners more than you could ever know. If you liked any part of what you heard, please, please, please do us a favor and follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're willing to go a step further, we would love for you to leave us a review and send this episode to a friend that you feel would be served by it in any way. We are so excited to finally share more about Catalyst, the community that we are building in conjunction with this podcast. Our mission with Catalyst is to create an authentic, safe, and inclusive space for heart-centered, growth-minded, multi-passionate women to navigate their life's transitions by building meaningful relationships, learning from one another, and growing into the best version of themselves, and maybe even make the world a little bit better in the process. If you're interested in becoming a founding member of Catalyst, we would love to learn more about you and have you apply at wearecatalyst, all one word, .social. We only have a limited number of spots for this founding member round, so be sure to get your application in soon. Again, the website to apply is wearecatalyst.social. We look forward to the possibility of getting to know you on a deeper level and supporting you in navigating your life's transitions. We cannot wait to have you join us for the next episode. Until then, we encourage you to lean into your community and embrace the growth that inevitably happens when you're in transition. See you guys next week.